Hi, folks. Hopefully some more people will show up, but we're going to go ahead and get started, and then we'll just adapt as folks come in. Welcome to this session, the fifth session of the UR2 PhD program. Just as a disclaimer, we are recording already, so you can feel free to leave your cameras off and that sort of thing, anything that makes you feel uncomfortable. Uh, and we also will not be recording a large segment of this workshop today as we move into some of the other activities. Um, Today's workshop is about sort of refining our understanding of statement of purposes. We've discussed them quite a few times. They came up initially in the sort of anatomy of an application session, but we also spent a lot of time last week talking about them in more detail. Today is an opportunity to sort of workshop and hopefully maybe even get some peer feedback on them if we get some more folks in here. And essentially by the end of this, or actually a quick review, last session, we discussed, sort of what admissions committees are looking for within the statement of purpose, as well as the personal history statement. And we also discussed some common priorities for strengthening the content of those documents. And hopefully, you sort of took that and came to prepared to sort of maybe workshop some of that if you were here last week. In this session, we're going to workshop sort of the thesis of your statement of purpose, so to speak, or if you're willing and able, we will even provide the opportunity to do some peer review of the sort of thesis of your statement of purpose. So that being said, let's do a bit of a content recap from last week. And sort of specifically, the biggest thing is, what are committees looking for? What makes a strong statement of purpose? This may seem repetitive for those who've attended previous sessions, but ultimately, if the admission committee, these are all useful things. Essentially, first, your basic aptitude for research, a well-articulated research plan, that aligns to the program, your sort of credentials as a researcher in terms of your demonstration of skills and abilities, and why you sort of are personally motivated to pursue that research. Your practical aptitude, this can have to do with project management and sort of just your abilities to sort of scope and identify proper methods for applying to a phenomena that you would then use to follow that research project. And then ultimately, program fit, which wraps it all together, right? Why your research, why this institution, why they all sort of worked together to potentially best support this research that you're suggesting, and why you sort of should be selected for that program. Again, ultimately, if the admissions committee is going to make a strong case for you to on your behalf to their bosses, that might be department chairs, deans, or other administrators to commit to funding you for 4 to 6 years, you need to be able to convince them that both the research and you have intellectual and practical merit, and that the chances for your success, specifically in the context of their program, not generally, are quite high. There should be as little doubt as possible that the research is worthwhile and that you are the ideal person to pull it off based on the skills and experiences that you possess to demonstrate and explain within the statement of purpose, and that there is a clear fit with the department for that kind of research that you want to do. And you can look back at session 4 for some more discussion on that if you were not in attendance, or if you were in attendance and you want to watch it again. Um, so some brief statements for sort of statements of purpose and personal history, just to sort of solidify that. Make sure your statements tell a compelling story with an overarching thesis, a clear start, middle, and end. They are sort of a narrative, persuasive document. You want to be as specific as you can. We discussed this in a previous session that essentially it's really hard to err on the side of too specific. It's possible, but you generally want to try to aim for as specific as you can. And then also show, don't tell. What this means is your CV tells, right? It's a list of all the things that you've done. These statements are opportunities for you to sort of explain and tell stories about examples and experiences and accomplishments that you've sort of done in a more narrative sense. Last week, we asked attendees to come today with about 3 sentences that explained why the research you want to do matters to you and or sort of society more broadly, why you are a good fit for that research, and why your planned research, and the institution to which you are applying are good fits for each other. This sort of mimics the slide we just had a minute. However, we recognize that not everyone may have attended or watched last week's workshop. So first, we want to say that if you have not done this, that's fine. We have a backup plan. To start, though, um, so we'll identify sort of who has brought a statement and figure out how to sort of sort people or best support the people that are here. One option that you'll be able to do basically is in a moment we'll open some breakout rooms if people are interested to give you the opportunity to join with another attendee to sort of have a discussion about your thesis and have some peer feedback from someone else who's going through this process at the same level. And then everyone else will stay in the main room and we'll workshop sort of some ideas or where you're at and maybe sort of help refine you as a group. Or if you don't have these statements, we'll start with some prompts to sort of get you to where you want to be with sort of this thesis for your statement of purpose. So you can start off to write that in a more productive way. I do want to emphasize. So step one will be you'll introduce yourselves. Step two, you can post your sentences into the chat. At step three, you'll take turns giving each other feedback. Right. One thing you think that they do well that's really strong, and then one suggestion that you might want to add to further improve whatever they have. I do want to emphasize that that second bullet is not a request to find fault with whatever they've said. That's relatively an easy thing to do. It's more about like whether it's good or not, finding ways to sort of make it even better. And we can and so that's why you want to suggest a chain rather than just say, hey, this part of the sentence is not so great. Um, we'll put these instructions in the chat when we come back to this activity. I just wanted to introduce it early. That last instruction on the slide, I'll come back to as well. Um, and sorry, Karen, we're on slide 9 now. I super apologize.
No
Um,
worries.
so regardless of whether you end up doing feedback with each other in this session, we also want to give you a couple quick tips in general for that you can maybe take away with you as well as you utilize here for giving maybe some other colleagues you may have that are also going through this sort of grad school application journey with you. If you guys get together, give each other feedback. Generally speaking, on a statement of purpose, for example, you want to look at how clearly and effectively an applicant does a certain things. And when I say clearly slash effectively, clearly is about sort of grammar. Does it make sort of sense? Is there confusion from a basic semantic level? And effectively is there a way to say it more vividly? Is there a way to say it stylistically, right? So you have clear and also effective. Um, and so you want to, when you're looking at someone else's statement of purpose, establish, do they clearly or effectively establish a prospective research project within their area of interest? That is it clear what they want to do during their PhD from a research perspective? A subpoint of that, right? How can or should their proposed research be more specific to the point we were just making, or perhaps broadened? Um, how clearly or effectively do they describe any prior research or research relevant experience? And I say research relevant because maybe they have experience professional that wasn't explicitly research, but could inform their ability to approach this research in a practical or intellectual way. Excuse me. How clearly or effectively do they link their background in research or research relevant contexts to their area and to potentially their possible research? That could be, again, professional, it could be projects they've completed, it could even be at a certain level of coursework and things like that. How clearly and effectively describe their research for their reason, sorry, for wanting to earn a PhD, or even more specifically, this PhD is something we talked about last week, which, this PhD being how clearly do they explain their reason for wanting to pursue their PhD at this school with these faculty, etc. And how clearly, effectively do they address any discrepancies or rough patches on their path to where they are now in the grad school? We talked about this as well, which is just about the fact that the statement of purpose or personal history statement are your opportunity to sort of explain or overcome things on your CV or your transcript that maybe don't look as competitive on to an admissions committee as on their own, right? It maybe requires some explanation. Maybe you had something that sort of made this semester or that semester not so good performance, or you had a gap in education for one reason or another, and that can potentially look less competitive on paper, and you want to be able to address that. Does this person do that effectively? And then sort of reiterate a few other things. How clearly and effectively do they personalize their statement to the specific department and or faculty of interest within a given institution, right? So statements of purpose, some of the core stuff might not change from institution to institution, but every statement of purpose should be speaking directly to how that will fit within whatever department you're applying to. So being able to analyze that for the purpose more for the purposes of today, but still again something you may be able to take with you if somebody's very early in the process. When you're sort of looking at just excerpts of statements of purpose, particularly sort of a thesis or the first paragraph of a statement of purpose, how clearly and effectively does a person begin to describe their core research topic, question, interest, right? That may not be if our assignment from last week was 3 sentences, obviously that's not enough space to sort of go into the nitty-gritty details of your methods and everything that you're going to do. But is it clearly introduced, right? Is it explained at a very basic level that leaves the reader wanting to know the greater details, but still has a firm idea of what it's going to be about? Do they begin to demonstrate a personal or broader societal motivation for that research, right? Does in this very short amount of writing, is there even a quick nod to, oh, this is why I care about this, or this is why everyone should care about this, or that sort of thing. And then is there an introduction to the key relevant experiences or other attributes that a person has that support their appropriateness and qualification for that research. Or perhaps or perhaps it's linked to that institution that you're hoping to apply to. So before we get into the activity itself, we're almost there. We do want to sort of quickly, because we're going to stop recording for the activity, we want to sort of put some of the stuff we would ordinarily put at the end of the workshop now, because we're going to wrap recording. For next week, we want to sort of make sure you're aware that we will be having a panel of current PhD students who are only, one step past where you all are right now, from different competing programs across the US. I don't think any one person is even from the same institution. They all have sort of different experiences and paths to where they are now. And we're going to have them, we'll have some questions ready for them, but we also urge you all to come with some questions. I'm so sorry, Karen, slide 11, you have some stuff you wanted to say there too.
For sure. No worries. I was just gonna suggest a couple of questions that you could possibly ask. It could be things such as what was applying like for you? If they had, when they're a PhD student now, what is it like for them? How did they choose the programs that they were in? All the types of things that we've been talking about now, you can ask to those other than ourselves who went through the process farther back in time than they did. They have more recent experience. So I'd really suggest you take the time, just jot down maybe 2 or 3 questions that you would want to ask them, because they're coming from all different types of universities from throughout the country. So, and we've been working hard to get them here. So come with questions ready. It's a great opportunity.
And questions about whatever it is that, you're still the most confused about, or that still think is like the biggest mystery about this whole thing. We also do want to reiterate for slide 12, we do want to reiterate, you can always reach out to us outside these workshops. Several of you actually have, and that's great. This is our contact information. So at any point you have some questions about stuff we've talked about or related to what we've been talking about, please reach out. We also do value your feedback. Slide 13. So most of you who are here in the Zoom, when you leave, it'll automatically prompt you, but we still sort of want to encourage you to give us feedback and to sort of respond to that survey. It's not very long, and we do look at it every week, and we welcome it.
And we're basing next week's info on the feedback that you've given us, so we do
Yeah.
take it seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. We have already begun to respond to some previous feedback in the questions that we've prepared for the folks next week. And so it's another opportunity to sort of anonymously drop some stuff you want us to ask them. So yeah, good point, Karen. Thank you.
No worries.
All right, so with that, we do want to get to this the opportunity, at least for peer review. If I could if you would like if you came with sort of the three sentences that we asked for, and you would like to be placed in a breakout session with another attendee to do some peer feedback, can you put peer R in the chat, please? And I should say, while you think about that, if you're uncertain and you're on the fence, what we'll also be doing is, again, we're going to do some workshopping here in the main room, and then we'll give it probably, unless the breakout session folks come back early, we'll probably give it maybe 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll offer another, we'll sort of ask again to see if anyone else is then ready. So for example, right now we only have one person, which means it's hard to pair up. Um, in which case, maybe we'll do some workshopping, and then in maybe 10, 15 minutes, we'll see. Excellent. Awesome, Harper. Uh, so yeah, we'll give it maybe another 10. If no one else drops a line in there, we'll give it another 10, 15 minutes. We'll do some workshopping with everybody. And then if folks then are like, "Oh, okay, I think I'm ready to maybe get some to sort of swap topics with some folks to get some sort of long, deeper one-on-one feedback and sort of discussion, then we can sort of we can facilitate that at that point. All right. Well then, since we oh, hold on. Oh, thank you, Karen, for posting that in. But it looks like for now we were gonna stick to
Are we just
just
gonna
in
be
the room.
okay in here?
Yeah.
I
So we only
wasn't
have
sure
one
we were gonna
person,
move.
so which means we can't pair them up with anybody. That's okay. Um, oh, and also if we could stop the recording, we're going to jump into this.